Good afternoon, I should say. I'm not nearly woke up. Welcome once again on this Monday afternoon at the Avogo Ink Design Studio. Thank you for joining us. I can see lots of you on already. Especially a welcome to everybody in the USA if you're joining us today as well. It's morning for you over there, I believe, so thanks for tuning in. And wherever you are, it's got a geo-clock, our website, so it's really up to date. You can go on there and it'll always give you the up-to-date times for the shows coming up for you. So don't need to worry about trying to swap the times off of where you live. So it's perfect, that, on the website, a really good service. Well, thank you. I can see all the comments coming in. So let's say hello to a few people first, and then we'll go through some more information. So we've got David on, Tracy, Irene, Roxy Lee. Hi, Roxy Lee. You've got some lovely samples on the page from the Avogo range. So thanks for putting those on. Susan, hello. I don't think I've missed anybody, but thanks for joining me. And I'm so glad you've got your company today. So things for today then, we've got Tony is on Create and Craft at 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and also tomorrow at 8 AM. So make sure you put them in your schedules for you. She's going to be on there, so lovely shows. She's also got a Facebook Live at 9:30, and that's Eastern Time on Tuesday the 8th of March, and that's very exciting. So that's continuing USA presence, so that's going to be a brilliant show. Well worth tuning in for and giving some support to Tony for that one. And the last thing to mention is that if you haven't already got your Stamping Together tickets for the festival, go on the website and find those for you. That's on the 2nd of April. It's on a Saturday. I'm going to go there, and there'll be loads of inspiration across all the brands and loads of lovely products to see. And that's at Port Sunlight. So all the information for that's on the website. There's also a link on the Avogo page, so feel free to go onto there. Okay, so welcome. I don't think I even introduced myself, did I? So let me start off with that. My name's Simon Williamson, and thank you very much for joining me. I've got two lovely demonstrations today to show you with our new collection with the Japanese ladies and the Oriental kind of accent. So let's start off with our first demo. And this is the one we're going to be doing. So you can see on this one, I've had a bit of fun with the texture paste from the Eyes ink and the actual inks. And it just really creates a really glittery, in-depth background as well. So let's have a look at that one. I'll show you how to make that. Let's start again. So I'm going to bring in a bit of board just so I can actually use so I don't damage the counter. And I've already cut a 6-inch square. So I'm going to use this cherry blossom stencil, which is a really lovely stencil, loads of open areas. But I'm going to show you how to make it a little bit more built up if you want to make a little bit more impact on your card. So let's place that down first of all. Just going to make sure I've got it to the edge of my card. And I'll use a bit of tape just to hold it in place. Just so I don't want it to slip, really. There we go. And I've got this lovely rose-coloured dye ink, and I like this because it's a really soft tone, but you can make it as deep as you want. So I'm going to start off with this one. I'm just going to push into that stencil to get that colour going through. I love these little flowers as well. It'd be really nice as well if you've got flower stamps at home, you know, the bigger images, but you could use this as a background to actually add to your own ranges. So just pushing that in. And then on these little fine lines, if you want to get them a little bit darker, you can just go with the grain of them, and you can push a little bit more colour that way. I'm going to deepen the flower heads a little bit more, just by getting a little bit of a circular motion on them. I do love this stencil. You just wait till we add a second layer to it. It really does make it pop. And just going down this edge. I think I've got most areas of that. So let's take this off and we'll see his first layer. How lovely does that look? That in itself as a background is a really nice kind of like starting point for your card. You could add your own topper to it and whatever you want to do, but no, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to enhance it a little bit more. Rox says, I hope you got the card I sent. I don't think I've seen it yet, Roxy Lee, but I will check afterwards and I'll let you know. But Thank you. I'm sure it's somewhere here. I got here a bit later today, so I've not had time to go into the office yet. So I'm just going to line that back over. So I've just spun it round into a different position. So you can see I've got little elements of the flowers underneath. I'm just going to tack that down again. And this time, I've got this lovely glitter paste with the glitter in it. I've gone for a purple, so it actually goes with the pink, and it'll just help it pop. You can see the shine in there. It's really going to add a lot more detail to the card. So what I always do is put a little bit on the corner. You don't need too much, but it goes quite a long way. And you can always put more on if you need some more. So I'm going to use a little spatula. I'm just going to bring that in and put it over the flower heads to start with. And you'll see it's really builds up really fast. And you don't use a lot. I know you think you would, but it goes quite a long way. Just scrape it as you go. And what you scrape off, you put back into your stencil. Sorry if that scratching noise is irritating anybody. So just brushing it across those flowers. Put a little bit more on now. Do the same with this, just brushing it across. Making sure those little flower heads are covered. Go the opposite way. It's really relaxing this as well, and it'd look amazing as well if you wanted to mix two colours together, so you could have it like graduating. Just a little bit more for this corner. Make sure I've got all those flower heads so they're going to be fully glittered. A little bit onto that last one. There you go. I'm just going to scrape the excess back into this little opening. Then we can save that for another project. Let's pop that in there. So you can see it's gone on there, it's scratched through. It dries really fast, this, I've got to say. So I was quite impressed with this, because in the past I've had them and they've been really slow drying. So if I lift this up now, put my finger there to hold it. And if I hold that up for you, just look at that extra dimension that's given you. So you've also got like two layers going on. You've got like the soft pink in the background, and then the shininess on the front, and it's really got a lovely glistening to that. It really has. So instantly you've like created a more impactful background, haven't you? So I'm just going to give this a quick blast with a heat gun just to help it set a little bit, because I want to obviously assemble this while we're doing the card today. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a heat set all over that. When I was doing this at home in practice anyway, it was dry within 10 minutes, but obviously today I don't want to smudge it while we're assembling in a second, so I'll just give it a bit of a blast. And I'm just going to leave that to one side, and that can finish off drying while we get the rest of our card ready. So move that out of the way. So the next bits I want to make is the main elements, which are these three squares that go down the centre of this demo card. So we've got the two lovely ladies. We're just going to use the heads on this design, and then we've got the sentiment straight in the middle. So it really does, you know what I mean, help you get your toppers ready. And you could prep these in advance and have them stashed away. So let's start with that one. So I'll bring up my stamping platform. I can see we've got some viewers on Facebook as well, so thanks for joining us today. I've got our two lovely ladies there. I'm going to make sure I've got enough gap down the centre, so when I put the die on, I can cut them out individually. So let's get them stamped there. Hello Brenda, thanks for joining us today. What you're doing at home then, you're crafting along with us, or you got your cup of tea? So I'm just going to ink the head part of these. Don't really want the bottom off, so I'm just going to make sure they get the detail at the top. Give that a good push down. I'm going to go in one more time just so we can get a really crisp detail. Push that down as well. There we go. Like there. I'll put that under there a second. And I've got my Himi watercolours today. These are they're like creamy almost, these. They're brilliant, I've got to say. If you are looking for some new watercolours, these are very worth the investment, I tell you. Who am I kidding? We all want new watercolours and craft products, don't we, when we want to? So let's get a little bit of colour onto these ladies. So I'm just going to activate the paint first of all. Let's just get some brown onto this one. It's almost like a glaze, this. It's lovely how it sits on the card. I'm just going to go around a hairline. I'm just getting a solid colour on for now. You can always go back in for more detail. Brush that across the forehead. Into a hairline at the top. And just around that side. And I think we're going to go for a vibrant colour on this. Let's have a nice blue colour, I think, on her outfit. We'll just brush that into the garment. And you can make this as intense as you want to. You could also just emboss it if you want to as well, if you don't want to colour it in. It'd look just as nice, because the images are lovely on their own. Then we just get some of that lovely blue into the flowers in the hair. Breaking that up a little bit. And then let's have a lighter blue for this little band that she's got. And then we'll add a little bit more colour. Just on the top half of this garment, because we're going to be just cutting this out in a second. Just going to put a very pale yellow on there, just to make those little dragonflies pop a bit more. And then we'll swap to our other little character. And like I say, you could have these already done at home, couldn't you? You can have some great fun with your kids and that. Or just having a crafty afternoon on the sofa. Just get a lap tray out and start colouring these in for when you want to use them. Just bring that around the hairline. And just around there. And I'm just going to pick up some of that blue again. I'm going to go onto this section and we're going to give this one a blue outfit. Just drag that blue down. Doing it quite pale, this one, because there's loads of detail in her outfit, so I don't want to cover it up. And it looks lovely when it comes through there. And then this one's going to have yellow accents as well. And that obviously supports our people in Ukraine that are having a really tough time at the moment, isn't it? I've seen loads of your lovely cards all over the internet as well, supporting the blue and yellow theme. I've got to say, some lovely, lovely makes, but more importantly, it's nice to see the support that you're giving everybody across the world. And we'll just bring that yellow neckline down. And I think we'll have some nice yellow flowers in her hair. bring that black back down, that little bit of hair that goes down there. I'm just going to darken some areas up by just dragging that darker to a fringe, and it'll just bring that together. I think we'll finish this little character off with a little bit of blue in her hair, and then it'll tie in the blue and yellow theme that we've been doing. Obviously, you can make sure you dry these in between. And in this palette, there's a lovely skin tone. It's really good, you can see. It's perfect for if you're doing like faces and stuff, but it's very rare that you get a skin tone already pre-mixed. You'll have to make your own. But I love this. And it gives a really nice creamy, but not overbearing kind of colour, and I'll show you that. Let's go to this one, so it's a little bit brown, so you can see it's really soft. And just take that up into a fringe. We'll do the same for the other one. It's just enough colour into it. It's really delicate. There you go. Just take some of that off as I put a little bit of thickness on there. Push it down. And then if you really want to, add a little bit of red. We can give them some little red cheeks, look. And some red lips. There you go. So we've got 2 of our little characters all coloured in now. All in the blue and yellow outfits to support people in Ukraine. So it really does hearts go out to them at the moment. They're having a really tough time, bless them. So I was going to blast this with a heat gun now, just to make sure it's not wet for when we die cut. Just make sure we get all that dried. Just going to put a little bit of tissue on that, so it's just a little bit wet, that bit, and it's not going to dry off as fast as I like. There you go. So we've got our 2 characters, so I'm just going to chop this down the middle and centre and separate them out. Now I'm going to bring in my die plate so we can cut these. I've got a lovely nesting die, the square one. So let's pop that just there. And we'll pop that through. That one can be cutting. And while that one's cutting, I'm just going to quickly bring up my stamping platform. And I've got our sentiment, so we need to get this on now. So Susan says, what card am I using? This is, it's just like a mixed media card. I think it's about 140 GSM, so it's nothing too thick, but I find it's substantial enough to paint onto and die cut. So I am, like all crafters, I like to be a little bit frugal and get the most out of my money. So that's one lady cut out. That's our second one, so let's get that on there. I'm just going to tack that into place just because it's got a little bit wet with the watercolour and I don't want it to warp. And I can pop that one through. And then on this piece of card here, I've got a slightly smaller one for a sentiment to go in. So I'm just going to make sure I position that on the cardstock where I want it. I purposely used the Sending Hope one from the new sets. I think it's a really strong message at the moment to support this card as well. So give that a good push down. There we go. You can take that out. So Roxley says, question C. Oh, right, yeah, you're right, Roxley. If you put QQQ at the beginning, I'll not miss any of the questions then, just in case. Or if you do want to ask a question afterwards, just pop me a message. I will reply to you. That's what we're all here for, isn't it? So I'm just going to pop this one through now. with the Send in Hope sentiment and just get that cut out. And then we can start assembling our card. Just get a little piece of card. I'm loving this background though. I can see all the sparkle and it's completely dry now as well. So if you were wondering, it is really fast, like I said, but just because I was doing it today, I didn't want it to be slightly wet. Let's move them out of the way. And let's start getting these all assembled. So we've got our lovely background first of all. So I'm going to mat this onto some black. And that black just makes it pop those colours really well. So I'll give them a good push down. And then let's mount that onto our card blank. Oh, not me ready, Breck. I'm trying to squeeze this out. There we go. Let's get that on there. There we go, and then we've got our two lovely ladies and our Send in Hope. So let's get these mounted now onto the black. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a black edge, just to make them stand out a little bit more. So if we pop that down first in the corner, then we can use that as a gauge for the other one. We'll do this one in this corner. Save yourself cutting all four sides done that way. So let's get them chopped off first. So I'm just going to do it just by hand. You could always use your little trimmers. The little Stamps by Me mini trimmer is really good as well if you want one on your desk. And then chop this one out. And then we'll finally get the little sentiment matted onto a black border as well. Push that down. There you go. So we've got our two ladies and we've got our Send in Hope now. So let's get this built up a little bit. So I've got some foam pad. So let's get a nice big chunky piece of that. And then we can put this one on our card. So I think we'll have this one down here. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a nice clear border so we don't hide all that lovely glitter work we've done. We'll do the same with the other one. And put that lovely lady up at the top there. And then on this one, I could do it flat towards the ladies, but I want it a little bit higher. So I'm going to put two foam pads on this one. I find the best way to do this is to think of it the other way around and put the actual foam pads where you want them on here. So let's stick that onto there. I've got my little pokey tool, so I'm just going to borrow these scissors a second. Let's take that one off. Ooh. There you go. And then we can put our sentiment down where we want it. Across those corners. That's perfect. And there you go. That's our first demo. So lovely sentiments on that and a lovely thought behind it as well with the Send in Hope. If you wanted to as well, you could add some little stickles onto the actual flowers on the head like I did on the original demo, but that's up to you. But I really like how that's come together and I like the actual kind of diagonal effect it gives you as well. So really hope you enjoyed that one anyway. So we're just going to show you some inspiration now from the Have a Go collection while I set up for the next demonstration. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, so I'll speak to you soon. Hi, my name's Simon Williamson. I'm the guest demonstrator for Have a Go Ink Designs.
Avogo inks it's basically images that we can put together so anybody can have a go. I think I love the most about crafting is it can just give you time out in your own head. You can just down tools, not think about your mobile phone and just enjoy what you're going to do, create a project and be proud of what you've made. My inspiration comes really from lots of sources. I love looking at current trends, I like looking through the internet, and I like looking at what other people make, and I think truly inspiration comes from picking bits out of everything you see, pull it all together and make it something that you can do with your skills. Avogo products, we've got 3 collections out at the moment. We've got as Dinosaur range, as Farmyard range, and as Little Owl collection. And the main crux of the actual designs is there's a big image there, little characters you can play around, have fun, and there's always some puns in there as well, so you can liven up the card and make it a bit humorous for everybody. I think if you're thinking about trying one of our products, don't be afraid. Just buy any of the kits that you feel like you want to, and you'll always create a really good card from there. There's some good characters, good sentiments, and some really fun images in there. So just grab one and have a go.
Welcome back. Did you like that little VT? Oh, I sound very professional, don't I, on that? Bless. Right, I've got my second card, and I really wanted to show you that you don't have to use those ladies in the collection. You can actually make a really nice card for adults. Let's pull it back a little. Push that forward, but you can see a bit more. So you can see we're going to show you how to make these fans now, and they look really complicated, but they're not. And there's something you can have fun making, especially kids would love to do with this. But I just think this looks a really classy card for an adult to receive. So let's show you how to make this. So I'm going to bring up my stamping platform first of all. And I've already got just a strip of black card that I know will go onto my DL card base. So I've already pre-cut that ready. I always think about this afterwards. I should have used a piece of paper so you can see what I'm doing. Let's just put a piece of paper in there. Put a magnet on there. And one over there. And I've got that really nice kind of like bamboo grass stamp now. It's a really big stamp image, that one. You can see it's really going to make a great place on your card and really take it over and stand out, which is what we all want, isn't it? So I've got my anti-static bag, which I'm just going to make sure this black card's covered, because I want this to be as effective as possible. Give that a good smooth over. I'm going to start out putting this in the centre, so let's go across there for the first one. So I'm just going to move that back to the centre for you a little bit. Push that down. I'm going to use VersaFine Black, but we're going to be embossing anyway over the top. So let's just make sure we've got a really crisp image. I can see that from here. And then I'm just going to turn this stamp the opposite way around so we get a little bit of graduation going across this card. I'm going to do exactly the same again at the top, just give it a good ink in, make sure we've got all that detail of all those lovely leaves. Push that down. And I'm going to bring that to the bottom as well now. So I'm just going to pull my cardstock up a little bit, give myself a little bit more space, and we'll rest that across there. Just pick that up. I love this, I tell you. You wait till I put the gold embossing powder on this and you'll really see how this design pops. Give that a good push down. Brilliant. So we've got that. I'm just going to move those magnets a second. Take that stamp off. And we can use the top of this now, can't we? So I'm going to be using some gold embossing. This is the Eyes Ink embossing, the 3D one, so it gives you a little bit more depth when you're doing it. But I'm sure we've all got some embossing powder in his own collections. So I was going to make sure that's well covered. And if you've never done embossing before, don't worry. You always put all the powder on, make sure it's well covered, and it'll only stick to the bits you're going to use, so you get all your powder back then to use again. So if I give that a good tap. And just look at that detail already, you can see coming out in all those leaves. And you just wait now until we heat it up. So I'm just going to move this powder out of the way first, just because it's, I don't want to lose it. There we go. I'll move this stamping platform out so I'm using the heat gun. Now I'll try and hold this, you can see, but just watch when this changes. And the gold for me always goes really fast. Isn't that lovely though? Just gives it a lovely sheen. I also find as well, if you hold the card a little bit off the glass mat, it heats faster because you're not heating the underneath. Just get that lovely gold around there, and then we'll go on to this last side. Just turn it a little bit, so I'm burning my fingers. Look at that now. Just look how that's really stepped up. Some lovely shine on that. And that could be the base for any of your cards. I mean, that was just a simple word in the centre. It should just make a lovely card on its own, but lovely. I think it looks so oriental as well, black, gold and red all put together, so that's why I thought of this card. So, because we're going to be assembling this one after, we might as well get this mounted on already. So let's get that onto a lovely red border. And then this can be sticking while we get our fans made. Just get plenty of glue on. Get that so it's nice and even on the layer I've cut. Get that good push down. And then we'll mount this onto our white card DL, and then it's ready. Oh, I'm never strong enough in the morning for this glue. Get that popped down. So I want a nice white border all the way around it as well as the red, and then that'll help us bring a sentiment back in on his card. So we've got the white colour back themed with the actual outer edge. It just makes it a little bit more cohesive. There you go. So we'll put that to one side. And now what we're going to do is make one of these fans, you see. So they look really complicated, but I want to show you how I made these. But there's a load of detail in there. They're really easy to make. And then it just adds such a nice 3D embellishment, especially to a Chinese themed card or Japanese. And you could also alter these as well, which I'll show you how to do. So I started off by cutting a piece of paper, and this is 3 inches by 6. So it's just a 6x6 pad really chopped in half. And it's just a piece of red plain paper, so that's something we've all got in our stash somewhere. And then I've got our little kind of edging die, which was in the collections. It's almost like a little Greek key, if you can see that. If I hold it other edge, you probably see it a bit better. And then we're going to use that to actually build up this fan now. So I'm using a block for this, but I find it a little bit easier. So I'm going to start off by stamping at the top. So we'll just get that across there. I'm going to build that design going across. And then take it right to the edge. I'm just going to use a piece of, just so I don't get ink on the actual glass mat. There you go. And don't worry if you're a little bit out of sync, because it'll not matter. When we start folding this, it's going to make a really good fan, promise you. So I'm going to put another line on. I want to make it just below the halfway mark. So I'm going to go about there. You can imagine doing these with like flowers or any kind of little strip stamp that you've got. Let's move that to that side. There we go. That's going to be the basis of our fan now. So that weren't too complicated. And now what we're going to do is just concertina fold this. So we're going to start off by, I do on the reverse. So I want to just fold it, turn it back over, and keep going with those folds. Now, the tinier you do the folds, the more pleats you'll have in your fan, so it looks a little bit more detailed. But depending on how you want it to look, you can choose whether you want to make it fatter or thinner. So I'm just going to keep folding those back and forwards. I think I fold my clothes faster than this, sorry. Here we go, we're nearly getting there. So just flipping it back and forwards all the way. That last one, just going to fold over. Don't worry if they're not exactly level because you'll not tell when they come out. The next stage of this, which you've got your concertina, and I found the best way to do it is just going to put a staple into this edge. And that should hold that together. Just make sure I've got my staple in. And that'll give you then the basis of a fan. You can see if I open that out. And that should look really nice and detailed for you. You can see all that lovely edging that's come to the folds. So that staple holds it in place, but the staple looks a mess, I agree. So we need to cover it up. So I've got a little bit of gold thread and I've got some glue. So what I do is I put some glue around this on the edges. It just holds it together as well and over that back part. And then we'll just grab some of our thread. And the best way I found is to leave it loose at one edge and just wrap it around to cover all that kind of mechanism up and make sure that the staple's not going to be sharp to anybody. And then finally, just chop that a second. And then you can tie these together then to keep it all in theme and hide your knots. We don't want that visible. Just chop that bit off. And there you go. So you can see we've got a lovely gold fan there with a gold handle, and that's going to make a really good embellishment for any card. If I bring that card back in, so I've got my wet glue. I can use the little V's that are going to touch your card. Just need a little blob of glue on. So make sure we get this stuck where we want it. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the gold that's touched the card as well. So let's put, let's have it going that way. Give that a push down. Make sure that glue grabs. And ideally I'd leave this to glue overnight, but that should grab it for us. And I've already made another fan here for us, so we could put one underneath. The same again, just make sure we get loads of glue onto those little pleats that are going to touch the card. And let's put that into position. Just hold it down just a second so it grabs. There you go. So just might need to tease that one out a little bit more, but just try and hold it for you. Okay, so we'll just leave that to one side just to get that glue to grab. And then we need a little sentiment for this one. So I'm going to go for best wishes on this one, so it'll make a nice generic card to have in your stash, wouldn't it then? So I'm just going to bring back up the stamping platform. I've just got a little piece of white card, a little scrap from my box that I've got. Pick that up. I'm going to go for the black because I think it makes it pop even more. But you could have done it in gold embossing to match the card if you wanted. There we go. And then I'm just going to cut this by hand. So you could trim it, you could make it a different shape if you want to. I'm quite a fan of making them a little bit obscure in shape. I think it hides if you're not a good cutter. You can adapt this to your style. So let's just trim that up a little bit. And we'll trim that a little bit that way. And then using the same red that we've used for our card, we're just going to mount that onto a bit of a background. Ooh. So I always tend to stick it towards one edge and then I can use that as a gauge of what to cut around it. So it looks nice and even. So we can cut that down. Trim it around this way. And then that way you've got a beautiful sentiment that's going to match your card. And then I'll finish that off with just some foam pad. I love this card though. I think them fans are really versatile to have in your collection. And something like I said, you could have a fun making ahead of time. Just try and get this backing off. Ooh, these foam pads don't like me, I tell you. There we go. So bring our card back in. I'm going to have best wishes down here in the corner. And then hopefully these won't drop off when I stand it up for you. There we go. So that's our second card. Really nice gold embossed background using that lovely bamboo stamp. And then those three-dimensional fans that we made on there are perfect, really. Just having these kind of theme cards. You can add them to the gills as well, but some of the gills are holding the fans in the collection. Just a versatile kind of way using them little details. So hopefully you've enjoyed those two cards. I'll just bring the other one back in that we made today. There we go. So two lovely cards there. Two different styles as well. So you've got one that's more like friendly for children, aren't you, with the little characters on, and you've got a really adult-based card there, and just shows that the colour themes. It just, you know what I mean? Go and have a go. Go and see what you've got in your stash and have a play around. So hopefully you enjoyed those two cards anyway. I'll be here again next week at the same time. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to tune in to Tony tonight on Creating Craft. But until next week, see you then. Bye-bye.